Okay, welcome everybody. We are here today yet again, Baruch Hashem, with another SAI Systematic Avodah Initiative program. For everyone who doesn't yet know, Systematic Avodah Initiative is a program that helps make your Avodah real, tangible on a daily basis. Sometimes we want to get inspired. We say, oh, wow, between Pesach and Shavuos, I'm going to be a new person. And then the days go by and the hours go by and we don't know exactly what to do. So here, Baruch Hashem, we have a program based on, you can see it here, yes, right, Simon Jacobson's Counting the Eimer, where he has a small daily reading on that particular Sefira of that day that we count and how it applies to our lives. And so every single one of us here in this group that has been doing it, we have this time around 23 participants. So a huge kol hakavod to 23 people who decided to work on themselves and to really improve their lives and connect to Hashem in a deeper way. So part of the things that we do to help encourage the Nefesh HaBahamis to be excited about this beautiful growth is that we provide a Farbrengen every other week. So that way we have a good inspiration. We get to join together and work through things together and grow together. And to get the Nefesh HaBahamis extra excited, we give prizes to every person that does their daily reading and at least one journal entry per week. So the prize for today is they freshly printed straight out of the printer. It was still hot by the time I went to pick it up. It was just been put on the shelves. We are huge fans here at Living Chassidus of the Chassidic Heritage Series, Maimarim. In the past, when we first started, we used to learn Maimarim on a regular basis from these series. And this one I actually really love, and I'm hoping to organize possibly to teach it this summer. It's Hashem. And it's all about how to see our trials and tribulations, our struggles in life, how to deal with them, and how to bring Hashem's glasses, which is our logo, Hashem's perspective. And through bringing Hashem's perspective, we get rid of them entirely. So this is for every person that did their reading. And I will now announce, and we'll start backwards this time because usually she gets last mention. This time she gets first mention. It's a Gurevich. She earned it this time. Baruch Hashem. The Brushi Librov, Chana Esther Davidov, Devora. Yep. Yes, she is. Samora Kapalovich, she just got married like by me. Esther Malka Cohen, Esther Citron, Gula Backer, Fagi Shway, Simcha Herrera, Brachi, Michelle Lovin, Chaya Liebman, Ruta Cohen, Ariela Zuckerman, Bracha Zerkind, Adina Lapine. And if you haven't yet sent me your name, then I will add you in as well. Mazel tov, mazel tov, mazel tov to every single one of you. Now, we are so lucky to have one of my absolute favorite speakers, and one of my favorite people in the world. We have the great schus of having Mrs. Rochie Pinson. She actually spoke for us for the first time on our 5-year anniversary by our challah bake. Oh, right. Yes. And that was when I was hooked and I said, we need to have her back. So we did from her challah bake, we had her first book and we gave it out to everybody then. And now this time she just came out with an incredible new book, the Kids Book of Challah. And I'm so excited to try them with my kids, but it is just so beautifully done, so carefully designed, and every recipe has its beauty and its excitement. So we're so lucky to have you, and thank you so much.
And it's neshek. It's also neshek.
It's
Did you see?
No, I did not.
This was my secret goal in writing this book.
Oh, I want to
open the first pages, and I have a whole thing on neshek with little girls lighting Shabbos candles.
Yay! Okay.
So that was like sort of the secret. I was like, I'm not doing the whole neshek. So,
there it is.
Yes. So we have the Shabbos candles, and it encourages, and I already know so many little girls who started lighting Shabbos candles because of this book, Baruch Hashem. So it's not just challah, but yes, those are my two beautiful nieces. And yes, Baruch Hashem.
Wow.
So there's hopefully it'll bring a lot of light. That's the idea. That's what we're aiming for. Okay.
Yes, you can.
Let's see if we fix this a drop. What are we doing here? Okay. All right. Like I always say, this is as good as it gets.
I know.
No, you don't.
Proper set.
Yeah, lighting and no. There's some things, we just gonna. This is like we say, it's as good as it gets. Baruch Hashem. This is the way it is. Okay. All right.
Tonight's a hakel.
Of
If you
course.
like, can you do you mind passing the pushka and the Cash App is jingling also. Counts
We're already
giving
recording?
stavka.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And tonight is in
Okay.
honor. It's in honor of our dear friend's birthday and her wedding. She also got married on Lag-BaOmer. We have two. girls that
Wow.
got married on Lag-BaOmer.
Amazing.
Baruch Hashem.
That is
Her
very
name-
special.
Her new married name is Rachel Eliashiv, which is she's a Hellinger. In honor of her birthday and her wedding, we wish her a huge mazel tov.
Amen. Amen. Mazel tov. Mazel tov. Mazel tov. Okay. All right. I feel like I spoke here during Sefira before, at least once, right?
Yes.
Maybe multiple times.
And I know
Okay.
for sure once.
Okay. All right. So, yeah, when Michal asked me, which Sefira do I want to take? I don't even think I hesitated.
No.
Because this is a topic that's been very much forefront in my mind, and I've been, it's been germinating. The concept of Malchus. It's been very, very forefront in my mind. And so when Michal asked me, we're doing, different speaker for every seer, and I was like, I'll take Malchus. That one was easy. But really, it's a much, much larger discussion, really, about who we are as Jewish women and what is happening in the world, like as we enter into the era of Mashiach. And really, Malchus encompasses this whole conversation. So tonight, we're really speaking about this idea of actually embodying Malchus in the era of Mashiach. What does it mean to, and that's why you asked for a topic, we're living Chassidus, we're living Malchus. How do we actually live out Malchus? We talk about the Sefirot, and sometimes it can sound like abstract ideas, or even if it sounds like a solid idea, it's almost like very specific. It's one aspect of who we are, or one aspect of our personality, or, one midah, or whatever it might be. But Malchus is not that. Malchus is everything, really, right? It's the place where all the midas are absorbed, where all the work that we've been doing throughout the Sefira, but really, I'm going to say throughout history, really is where it is absorbed. And of course, as women representing Malchus, it's more than just a midah, it's more than a Sefira, it is who we are. It's the embodiment of what it means to be a woman, what it means to be a Jewish woman. So, it's a big topic of conversation. It's a larger conversation. Tonight is actually Malchus, should be SAI. And so we're wrapping up the week of SAI and entering into the week of Malchus as we begin tomorrow. And we're entering into the final week of Sefira. So it's sort of the culmination of all the work that we've all been doing the last 6 weeks, Mr. Shem, this coming week, and everything's sort of coming together now. We always read Parshas Bamidbar right before Shavuos, right? And the Rebbe speaks a lot about this idea of, why we start Bamidbar always at this time. But it's always fascinating to me how whatever's happening in the Parsha is so connected to what's going on in every other aspect of our life. And this week, reading the Chumash, it really struck me, this idea. So of course, we know Bamidbar is all about the counting, right? And the Yidden are counted. And of course, the counting shows us the preciousness of each individual within the collective. On one hand, we're a number, So we're part of something larger, but on the other hand, without any of those numbers, the whole is not complete. So should we save the questions for after? So with the recording, okay. Yeah, please write it down. Yes.
Share points.
Oh,
Basically, the number when we were counted, we were all equal. There was no greater or
Right,
worse.
exactly.
Every single person was a
Exactly.
number, and it shows the equalness between.
It shows the equality, but also without every single person, it was not complete. So it's equal but separate. And that's also a very important point, that not just because we're each a number and not one is not more than the other is not to say that each person has the same tafkid. Each person really is important within the collective. And I think that's a very important message from this counting. But it's interesting because as we're doing this counting, right, the Levium are told that they are not going to be counted. They are not going to be counted in terms, and the counting really was, this counting was called Isha Tzava, right? Whoever, they were men of the age that could go to war. And the Levium were not counted in this. They were not men of war. And they're told, V'aleviim yachanu saviv l'mishkan ha'edus. V'lo yiyeh ketzef al adas b'nei Yisrael v'shamru ha'leviim es mishmeres mishkan ha'edus. And the Levium, what is their role? They are going to camp around the Mishkan. They are going to surround the Mishkan ha'edus. And that is going to be a protection for the Kedusha of the Mishkan for all of the Yidden. This is their role. They simply need to be there, surrounding this space and creating by their presence protection for the Kedusha, for the entire Klal Yisrael. So we as women are carrying out every single day the work of the Kohanim, the Levim who are the Kohanim. We are carrying out this work in our daily life. The role of the woman really, after the Beis HaMikdash is destroyed, and every single one of our homes becomes the Mikdash Ma'at that we create, that we have the potential to create a space for the Shekhinah. And each person creating her home is really mirroring the Avodah of the Kohanim. We are living out the Avodah of the Kohanim today. We are carrying out Tahara through the mikvah. We actually are the last bastion of the idea of ritual purification. The idea of being able to be metaher is only through the woman today. We have the mitzvah of challah, of course, and that is actually relates to the karbanos. So we are carrying out the karbanos in our own home. And then we have, of course, the Shabbos candles. And lighting Shabbos candles mirrors the work of the Kohanim in lighting the menorah in the Beis HaMikdash. Just like the menorah was lit to create an environment of light and warmth, an ambiance of Kedusha, that's what we do when we light the candles for Shabbos. We really transform our environment through this light. And as such, we are really following through with the Avodah of the Kohanim. So when we want to really understand our role as women, we look to the Kohanim and we understand their tafkid, and it helps us to relate to our own tafkid. So look what the Kohanim had to do. They had to circle the Mishkan. They didn't have to do anything, right? They weren't counted as a number to go to war. They were not tasked with doing anything. They had to surround this space. And by being in that space around the Mishkan, they were protecting the Kedusha. What do we say in Eishes Chayil? Eishes Chayil Ateres Ba'ala, right? An Eishes Chayil is the crown of her husband. We also talk about the idea in Yirmiyahu, the idea that in the future, Nekeva to Soiviv Gever, that the feminine energy, the feminine will surround, will encompass the male energy. So there's this idea of sort of encircling, right? This idea of Keser. And in talking about the Sefiras, Keser is sort of this Just like Malchus is at the bottom receiving everything, Keser is above, encircling everything. It's makifim. It's the idea of the highest level of divine revelation is in this Keser aspect. And this is the idea of the woman that's circling. We see this under the chuppah, right? When the bride circles around the chassan, Kala circles around the chassan, she is creating this protective space. She is marking this sacred space of Kedusha. And that is what we do as a woman with our presence. This is what we're doing. So if you look at like the Rebbe's talks and what the Rebbe's focus was, and you sort of look through the years, in the earlier years, we're talking about, in the 70s and the 80s, the Rebbe spoke over and over again about the Mitzayim, and there was like a lot, and even earlier in the 60s, there's a lot of action, right? Go out. The shluchos was the biggest end, sending out people to all corners of the earth, sending out shluchim and shluchos, Mitzayim, nonstop. There was like a sense of urgency of action in this time. And as you look in the later years, the nature of the way the Rebbe spoke shifts and starts progressing into the talk about Mashiach, right? And suddenly, the Rebbe always spoke about Mashiach, but the focus really becomes Mashiach, and this idea that all of our work is already done, that we've done everything we needed to do. We have to open our eyes. We have to enter into this awareness that we're already in a state of Mashiach. There's this like shift. And this really represents this, the state of the world, moving from a state of Yesod, moving into a state of Malchus, moving into an era of Mashiach. This time of Nekeva to Sovev Gever, when the feminine energy of Malchus starts becoming the primary energy that we need to accomplish what needs to be accomplished in the world. We're coming into a time, Yom Shekulei Shabbos, an era that is all Shabbos, where the whole world is Eretz Yisrael, and every moment in time is Shabbos. We're entering into a different reality. And in this reality, the Rebbe tells us that the Avodas HaBirurim is done, that we've completed the Avodas HaBirurim. It's interesting that the idea of Birer, right, is something that we're not allowed to do on Shabbos. We don't do Birer on Shabbos. On Shabbos, and it's not stam. If you think about what's Birer is like a sifting. It's like a choosing, right? We're picking out the good from the bad or the bad from the good. We're making distinctions. This is bad. This is good. I'm separating out the good from the bad. We don't do this on Shabbos. On Shabbos, on a day that's Shabbos, everything is Kedusha. Everything. We don't want to make any differentiations like that. So what is our avodah today in this era of Ikvas the Mashiach, when we're really right there? We're right there. If we could just be aware. It's not a time of birurim, it's a time of yichudim. It's a time not of distinctions, but of unifications. Kol malachtecha asuya, where all of the malacha, all of the work is already done. And rather than sifting out, picking out the Kedusha and elevating it, we find Elikus in everything, in every single aspect of creation. We see the Elikus. And we're present to the Kedusha that exists in every moment, in everything within creation. So we say in Pirkei Avos, anybody been doing that? Another thing, this is a very busy season. Kol ma'asecha yeh l'shem shamayim, right? That everything that we do, all ma'asecha, all your doings, should be l'shem shamayim. And that's almost like this is the paradigm of what was. Like, let's say you're eating something, for example, right? We're having delicious sushi. We're not eating the sushi because it's sushi. We're not eating it because we are eating it l'shem shamayim. What does that mean? that we know that we're going to get the energy from this, and it's going to power us to give of ourselves, to bring more Kedusha into the world, to learn something else, to do something good, to elevate us. So we eat this, whatever it is, we're eating an apple, we're eating sushi, it doesn't really matter, right? The point is that it's l'shem shamayim. That's the experience itself is not important, but the point is, what can we extract from this that is l'shem shamayim? But the Baal Shem Tov came along with a new paradigm, which is b'chol derachecha da'ehu. And the Rebbe really expounded on this idea tremendously, bringing back this idea from the Baal Shem Tov of b'chol derachecha da'ehu. And this is even more. It's more than eating the food simply because it's going to give you the energy. The Shem Shemaim, it doesn't matter what I'm eating, it doesn't matter what it tastes like, it doesn't matter where it comes from, doesn't matter whatever. You know, and my husband always tells a story when he was at a bris once, and there was an old chassid sitting there, and he's watching this. I don't know if maybe it was Mendel Futterfass. I don't remember who it was. He says he's sitting at the bris, and this is when they were still makbid, you know, like put some fleishiks in bris. These days, I think that went a little bit by the wayside. But there was, you know, and he said he was watching him, and he was like, he put salami on his plate, and there was a piece of sponge cake. He stuck that on top. There was some ketchup, so he put that. Whatever was there, I don't know, a little coleslaw. He said, and he started to eat it, and my husband was horrified. And he says, what are you doing? He says, what does it make a difference? What does it make a difference? It goes in, it comes out, it makes no difference. What's the difference what I'm eating? That's, you know, I'm eating in l'shem shamayim. I need to eat. It's a sudas mitzvah. I'm eating something. Whatever's here, I'll eat. Then there's another level of eating. B'chol derachecha, or living, not b'chol derachecha da'ehu, where I'm eating the apple, but every part of this experience is a way of experiencing the Eibishter in this world. Every part of it. There is nothing in this apple that is separate from Kedusha. There's nothing in this apple that does not have an opportunity to connect me. The taste of it, the experience, the bracha I make, the focus on it, the energy I get, all of it is part of the experience of b'chol derachecha da'ehu. So it's not like there's no point in the fact that the apple tastes delicious, or that it's, you know, how it's grown or how it comes to me. All of it is part of the experience. I'm experiencing the Eibishter in every aspect of this apple, in every aspect of creation. You know, it's interesting. B'chol derachecha da'ehu. You know, the Torah speaks about das. It's a euphemism, right, for intimacy, but it's really the idea of like a very deep, deep connection. You know, intimacy means that we have a connection with another person that's like essence to essence, that we're really experiencing the other. And when you think about the words b'chol derachecha da'ehu, it's really a hint to us of how to experience deep, true connection in our lives. And really from a place of Malchus. You know, we tend to think like, when I finish the stuff on my to-do list, then I'll be relaxed. Then we'll have a good deep conversation. Then we'll have some time together. That's a good time for intimacy. That's a good time to connect. You know, when I have nothing on my mind and I'm calm and everything is relaxed. But as we know, that never happens. If we're waiting for if we're waiting to like check off every item on the to-do list, we will never actually be able to be present in that way. B'chol derachecha da'ehu, when you're in the derech, when you're in the process, can you experience intimacy? Can you experience deep connection while things are still happening? When everything is not perfect yet, when everything is still, and if we're talking about this in our relationship with the Eibishter hasn't given me everything I've asked him for yet. I haven't yet met my best sheret. I haven't yet gotten that thing I'm davening for. But can I connect on a deep, deep level from where I am right now? Can I be present to the moment, to whatever is right now, and from that place connect? And that's really where we can experience true intimacy and connection. Because the truth is, nothing is ever complete. Nothing's ever finished. The to-do list is never done. And we always have something else to daven for. And there's always something else that is still not perfect. But right now, in this moment, can we stop, pause, and be completely present and connect in a real, real way? And I think as women, this is an extremely important idea for us to absorb, because the work of the woman is actually never done. And I think this is why a lot of women want to go to work. Because they're, in a male-oriented reality, you can check off things and there's deadlines and then things get done and you feel like, okay, done. But then in the work of the home, in the work of nurturing and nourishing, there's like every single thing you do is pretty much immediately undone. So, if you're going to wash a dish, someone's going to eat on that dish 2 minutes later. And if you're waiting for your kitchen to stay clean for 5 minutes, you're going to be disappointed because you're going to clean it and it's going to get messy. You're going to make the bed. And after you make the bed, someone's going to sleep in it again. So if we're living in a reality that we're expecting results and we're then we're always sort of living for the next thing. If you're a mother, it's like, okay, when the kids go to sleep, okay, when the kids go to school, okay, when the kids finish eating, when they take a bath, there's always like the next thing that has to get done. I have to change the baby so they'll be clean. I have to do this so that I can get to the next thing. But then we live in a cycle of endless frustration because it's never done. And that's not the purpose. That is not our tafkid as women. As a woman, our tafkid is that we need, what's that? The process. That's right. Exactly. Process over product. I like that. That's very nice. It's about being present within the process. Being able to say right now, I am present to everything that is happening. I am in the moment. It's not about even doing something as elementary as diapering a baby. Right now, I am fully here in this moment, in the preciousness of this work that I am doing, understanding that it is larger than this moment, that there is so much right now that I'm accomplishing right at this moment. And this applies to anything and everything we do in our lives. If we're waiting for the next thing, what's next? What's next? Okay, I'm going to do this when I get married, when I find my bashert, when I have the child, when I get the job, no, right now is the only moment that ever exists. And living Malchus is living completely present to the moment, right here, right now. That's it. And it's a beautiful idea that the Rebbe spoke about a lot, that if whether you're a Levi or a Kohen or, your shevet that you come from, that comes from the father, right? And that really conveys status. Are you a Levi? Are you a Kohen? What's your status amongst the people? Are you a Yisrael? Whatever. That's a new term, right? Because we don't know all the other shvatim. But whatever you are, like that's your status comes from the father. But who you are, the essence of what makes you you, that comes from your mother. Whether you're born a Yid or not, this comes only from the mother, because a mother gives essence. This is what we give. We give the essence. And how do we give the essence? It's not about what we do. It's about who we are. It's about where we are. Are we able to be here? Are we able to be present? And this is really like, I feel like this is a huge challenge in today's era, where our attention is completely hijacked. And it's like actually our attention is a commodity that's being sold to the highest bidder. And it's literally it's literally, there's like a war for our attention. And how often do we see that rather than being fully present in the moment with the person who needs our presence the most, we're distracted by all the other stuff. And it's such a crucial thing, especially to really give what we can give from our essence, the best of who we are. We really must focus our attention where it's most needed. And you know, when a child needs attention, it's a basic need. It's actually a basic human need. Did I ever tell you that cartoon that I love? I have a cartoon in my house that I cut and pasted out because it was amazing. And there's two mothers sitting on the couch trying to have, you know, an adult conversation. Good luck to them. And behind them, there's a little kid standing on the top of the couch and writing on the wall. And he's writing, "I want attention." And the mother turns to her friend and says, "Don't mind him. He just wants attention." Yes, he wants attention. The people in our lives who need us, they need our attention. It is the most precious gift that we can give of ourselves, is our presence. That is the greatest present. It really, truly is the greatest gift that we could give of ourselves. For a woman, it is not about what we do. And we say this, when you meet a man, you can ask them, "What do you do?" I actually, right before I came here, I met with a woman, and she was telling me, you know, we were talking, and she was telling me that a few years ago, she stopped working. You know, she was an investment banker, and she was like, you know, and she decided she's stopping to work because she wants to just raise her child full time. And that's what she wants her focus to be. And she said, she felt very good about it. She knew it was like the right thing, but she said she was shocked how hard it was for her when the way she was judged by society, and that she would drop him off at school and people say, "So what do you do?" And she would find herself saying, "Oh, well, I was an investment banker, but now I decided to stay home." And she was like, "Why am I doing this? Who am I trying to tell this to?" And it's amazing because like the messaging from the world got into us that we meet a person, we say, "What do you do?" You never ask a woman what she does. She is. That's it. That's all. We need to cultivate our presence. And that is, what's that?
What are you?
What are you is a bigger question, probably less easy to answer on the spot. And we're all a process of becoming. So maybe there's no answer to that either. Maybe how are you? It's a better question. But it really is, as
What do you do to spend your time?
you can.
So, like, how do you occupy yourself during the day? Not even like what do you do? Just like,
Yes, that's also a question, but even that, because we've fallen into this trap of busyness, of to-do lists, and like it's almost like it's a competition. Who could be busier? And if you have more stuff on your schedule, you are a more accomplished person. But you know, doing without taking the time to stop and pause and reflect of why we're doing what we're doing and where is this coming from? Where is this doing coming from? It's not that we don't have to do, we still have to do. And as the Rebbe spoke about Mashiach, he didn't tell us we have to stop doing all the other things. It wasn't that we stopped them of time. It wasn't that we stop all the avodah. The question is, where is our doing coming from? From what place? It's like the Zohar says about Shabbos, Minei misparchim kol hayamim, that from Shabbos, all the days of the week are benched, right? The presence that we cultivate on Shabbos influences, informs everything that we do during the week. And that's the doing from a place of Malchus. Doing from a place of Malchus is doing from a place of being, so that every action that we do, every word that we speak is coming from the place of who we are. Authenticity, presence, mindfulness, thoughtfulness. This is Malchus. This is living in a state of Malchus. Goal-oriented, checking things off the list. This is birur. This is already birur. Avodas habirurim, we're told, is done. We're done with that. No, only if it's coming from a place of who you are and what you're giving to the world from an authentic place. That's not what defines you, who you are. It's not like we shouldn't work. And it's not like we can't work. And if our husband or the world needs us to do something and financially we need to support ourselves, then we need to do what needs to be done. It's not to say that we don't do. The question is, where is that doing coming from? And what is the ultimate goal in the doing? What are we trying to accomplish? That is what we're talking about. I think the idea of Malchus is almost like a presence. The idea of a melech, of a malka, is like a presence of something larger than ourselves, something that we can look to and see Hashem's presence in this world, right? You look at a melech, at a malka, and you see transcendence. You see something hecher, you see something higher, you see, let's say a queen doesn't have to do anything, right? But she has to be a queen. She has to be queenly. That's her role. You know, look at the Queen of England, right? Like Lahavdil. What was her malchus? It was in her presence. She didn't do anything. Not that the kings in the kings in the Torah, like they actually did. They did have a role. They weren't just about being, but a malka is presence. It's literally just to be. And that's really our role in the world today. And not just as women, but really all of us moving into this era of Malchus, that the whole world is moving into this era. The whole world is going through a shift. And that's why when the Rebbe spoke about this, he spoke about this as this is a shift. It's an awareness, living in a state of Mashiach, acting from that place. I remember very clearly, like feeling this very strongly when we were in quarantine. Remember that, everyone? Way back when? 2020. Long ago. But it was such a powerful realization for me after so many years of busyness, running, having to be here, having to be there, having to, in the house, out of the house, in the house, out of the house. And suddenly I was always in the house. Not only was I always in the house, I was always in the kitchen because everyone was home. And guess what? Breakfast, lunch, supper, and then repeat. And the restaurant was wide open for 7 months. And I just found this incredible feeling of malchus, of peace. I felt very, very much like this is actually my purpose. I did not feel like I wasn't doing anything. I almost felt like I was a magnetic force standing in my kitchen, and that everything kind of revolved around that, and that everyone knew where to find me. Always. They knew where I was, and there was there was a comfort. I think there was a comfort from the family, but there was also a comfort for me in knowing that I was present to them, in knowing that I could just be there. And that was enough. When you have little children, it's very involved. It's a lot of doing. But when they get older, you find, when you have little kids, you're kind of like stuck. You can't go anywhere. You could try, you can't get far. When they get older, and suddenly, technically, you could be everywhere. And then you realize how much they need to know where you are. It's just, they need to know where you are. It's like they need to know you're there and where you are, and they can find you, they can connect to you, and that's what they need. So I have a rule with my kids that no matter what I'm doing, I always answer the phone. And even to tell them that I can't speak right now, I'm giving a shiur, I'm in the middle of a challah, I'm doing, it's fine. But they know that if they call, I'll pick up. And I think that there's that idea that just that comfort in knowing okay, I know where to find her. I know where she is. This is Malchus. This is the idea of just being present, being there in whatever form it is. And so it's a huge, it's not a little thing. It's not a little thing to be present. It really is an avodah that is a lifetime of work to figure out how to be authentically present, to connect, to really stop. Because in order to connect, you have to stop. You have to pause. I love the, it says, for Shabbos, it says, Shavas, right? Shavas ve'inafash. The words are coming from. Yeah. Okay. It says that it's Shavas. Right. Yamashvi Shavas ve'inafash. Okay. But Shavas ve'inafash. So we know Shavas means rested. What is ve'inafash? So Shavas ve'inafash, it's like rested, and ve'inafash is like an exhale. It's like the exhale that comes from the place of rest, that comes from a place of presence. We're always inhaling, we're always taking in, and we're always exhaling. But then we need to pause. And where's our exhale coming from? Where is what we're putting out in the world coming from? Can it come from a place of Shabbos? Can it come from a place of presence? Yeah. Sure. What's that?
Would you answer the phone during a share?
If I didn't tell my kids that I'm giving a shir, it's like sometimes I'll let them know that I'm giving a shir and like they shouldn't. But yes, if the phone rings or I'll tell my husband to be the one to pick up the phone. I'll see, it's your turn. Like I'm giving a shir for the next hour. If anyone calls, they're gonna reach you, not me. But otherwise, like if I didn't tell them, or if my kid is calling from yeshiva or from a stroll, whatever it is, I answer. Especially when they're out of town. It's very, very, right? It's very important that they know that they can reach you. It's a very important feeling. And having studied out of town myself as a teenager, I know very much that feeling of when you really need to just reach out and connect, just to know. But it goes beyond physical presence, right? It's really like just the knowledge of the fact that we're present to you, that my attention is here for you. That's really what it is. It's not where I am necessarily. If we look at the shtalshlus of the Rebbeim, right? The 7 Rebbeim, when we speak about the idea that each Rebbe was like another one of the spheres and leading towards Mashiach. So the Frierdiker Rebbe paralleled the sphere of Yesod, and the Rebbe parallels the sphere of Malchus, the final sphere, which is on the feminine side of the schema of the spheres, and really represents this era of Mashiach. And it makes sense that the Rebbe was such a staunch, if I could say feminist, I don't know if I could say the word feminist, because I don't think that's a good word necessarily. It doesn't have good connotations, but the Rebbe was so careful that women should be included, that women should learn, that women should do the avodah, that women should be a shlucha, that it's every aspect. When the Rebbe saw the picture of the Mashiach times, and there was only a boy on the front cover, the Rebbe said, "Where's the girl?" The Rebbe literally wanted to make sure that women were in the picture, understanding that this chus nashim tzidkaniyos, that it's the women who represent Malchus, who represent this era of Mashiach. In order to enter into this final sphere of Malchus, we need this energy of the woman. And the Rebbe would often, obviously, we know this, end his sichos with these words, lamata me'asara tefachim, right? The kar of mamash, this idea of bringing down all the brachas that he wished for us, that he wished for the Yidden, for Geula, for the final tikkun of the world with the coming of Mashiach. And he wanted to bring this all down from abstract concepts and, ruchnius ideas to lemata me'asara tefachim, for this idea of being below asara tefachim. And it's also very interesting that asara tefachim is actually an inyan of Shabbos. Rishus HaYachid only exists below Asara Tvachim. So technically, if you're flying, if you're hovering 10 feet above the ground, there's no Tchum Shabbos. I'm just saying, you can figure out a way to do that. But the idea that Shabbos exists lemata masar tvachim, this idea of Shabbos, which exists lemata masar tvachim, and when the Rebbe wanted to bring down the brachas into reality, he would say lemata masar tvachim. And we also know, we're told, Chazal tell us that the Shechina never goes below asar tvachim until the time of Mashiach. La'olam that the Shechina's presence doesn't permeate under Asar Tvachim until the times of Mashiach. In the times of Mashiach, the Shechina will permeate even the lowest elements of the earth, the elements that are the most physical. So, in other words, to bring this all completely down to earth, which is, I think, what this whole initiative is about, right? To take these lofty ideas and really bring them down to earth. This is what the Rebbe was really doing, lifting women and putting women literally into the picture, making sure that it's not just theory, but practically, Bakar of Mamash, that this is how we enter into a state of Mashiach, by understanding the power that we have as women with our presence, with who we are, with cultivating mindfulness, cultivating thoughtfulness, cultivating being here right now, connecting on a deep level to our loved ones, connecting to everybody we encounter, being that presence of Malchus in the world. And through that, we create a world of Mashiach, Bekar of Mamash, Matam Asar Tvachim, and with all your beautiful Avodah throughout Sefira SAI, we should really come into Matan Torah. We should receive the Torah on all levels, and we should be able to experience Matan Torah with Mashiach this year. So that's the plan. That is the plan. So, all right. Thank you all. And I guess we can, we can have some questions. Let's do that. Yes.
What's the difference between Malchus and Keser? I never really understood, because I know that Keser is at the top and Malchus is at the bottom. So I don't
Right.
understand.
So do we want to keep the questions on the recording?
Do you mind, or would you rather not?
I think I'd rather not.
Okay.
Let's also, people are not going to be able to hear, I think, so it's not even.